Hello. So people were asking about my line following system, and at the moment it's detecting this line, yes, on this background. Now it can be fooled, and as if I move off though, it knows there's not a line. So there we are on a very noisy background, and here it has the line. Now you can see it gets artifact just before the line, and there's two sets of circles which is showing basically where it's detecting a line lower in the screen and higher in the screen. As simple as that. It basically scans two lines. For each of those two lines, first it does a denoise filter, so it doesn't get completely noisy. For those two lines, they're in grayscale, by the way. So the bottom graph shows the brightness. It's kind of clipped here. The top graph shows the differential. Based on those differentials, we get two peaks, an upper peak and a lower peak. And each of those two peaks, the average of those, gives you a center that you can say is the center of the line. And the difference between those, or from one of those to the center, gives you the radius. So that allows me to draw these two circles. As you can see, the robot is tracking pretty well. Now this is me moving it by hand, because at the moment when I try to turn it on, it's just too quick, as in it zooms off and the PID makes it oversteer. So I've still got to tune the PID and get the PID to do the right thing, but it is tracking that line on that background. And you're right, it's an insane background to try it on, but there's a good reason I tried to make it as stable as possible. What makes this algorithm especially good is it works on another line. Now this is far too tight for this robot, in terms of it can never make those turns, but it is detecting a black line on a white background, and obviously this is a far better, higher contrast. So you can see on the graphs on the screen we got a big square block, almost binary, on the brightness, which is the blue graph, and on the differential, which is the red graph, we've got two great big spikes. So it's really easy for it to see this line, but it can still see the other line fairly well. And stuff confuses it. Like if I put it across an edge here, then it's going to get confused. It's going to kind of find things that aren't really there. That's fair enough. But in the case for Piwars, when we're talking about a line that's going to be either black on white or white on black, like this, and this is just white on grey, if it can cope with this, it can cope with the Piwars line. Only now, like I keep saying, I've either got to dial in that PID control or slow it right down, because at the moment it zooms off to one side or the other. So there is still an issue, but I think the line algorithm is fairly sorted. There we go. So it's lost the line that side, and there we go, it has the line. So circles go away if it thinks there is nothing. So it only shows circles when it thinks there is a line to detect.